Oh no, she's done it again. Meghan Markle has just made the judge of Australian MasterChef, a household name, beloved figure in Australia, Ho Ling Yao, cry during filming.
Meghan Markle is attempting to distract by showing a series of holiday photos, her summer holiday photos on Instagram, despite reports that she made one of the co-hosts on MasterChef basically cry.
But she bullied people in a very unpleasant way over here.
This is how Meghan Markle's carefully constructed domestic empire is actively collapsing as former royal staff finally bypass their non-disclosure agreements to expose the devastating truth behind closed palace doors.
This woman is really not oppressed. She's opportunistic.
She seems to be an incredibly popular figure in Australia. And given Meghan's track record, I am inclined to believe that these sources to New Idea are correct. She was simply trying to make Meghan feel comfortable, trying to be warm, and you saw that look, Meghan.
Summer 2026 finds the Duchess of Sussex desperately pushing a wholesome image of jams and teas.
Narcissism and the lack of perspective from this woman is astounding. Let's not forget that Meghan Markle has a well-established track record of bullying. She thought nothing of bullying Princess Charlotte, a 3-year-old little girl. She thought that character building. But when it comes and it's flipped on her, it's like, how dare you call me out for bullying somebody? Because in her mind, like all bullies, it's acceptable to harm others and never get called out for it.
Completely ignoring a legislative ticking time bomb waiting across the Atlantic. Keeping the official Buckingham Palace investigation strictly confidential worked for years, burying those findings securely beneath layers of institutional silence. But here's the thing. That protective seal surrounding the so-called Sussex Survivors Club is actively falling apart under British law. Unprecedented legislative shifts are currently cracking down on corporate secrecy.
Meghan Markle may have thought her appearance on Australian MasterChef would help, propel her image as a chef, and yet somehow the appearance has turned into master mess. Because according to reports, Meghan Markle made one of the co-hosts cry over the use of the word royalty.
Meghan Markle in New York, when she went to do an interview with somebody at a friend's house, she had her staff announced into the living room, the Duchess of Sussex is coming. When she went to that restaurant in Beverly Hills or whatever the hell it was, she came in that little golf court, and the reporter said that her assistant announced to the world that Duchess of Sussex is coming. So are you telling me that Meghan Markle, who loves to remind people that she's ranked above everybody else in her mind, would have an issue with Judge Poe saying we have royalty in the house, because that's how Meghan sees herself?
Which means key former aides can finally step in front of the cameras to double down on their harrowing claims. Complete panic now grips Montecito. Cracking facades signal the end of silenced staff, guaranteeing catastrophic consequences for her remaining reputation. March 2024 brought the launch of her highly publicized lifestyle brand under the cumbersome name American Riviera Orchard.
My belief, Lady C, is that this show actually contravenes the Sandringham Summit Agreement. And it was nothing to do with poor Poe saying royalty. It was to do with the fact that the entire challenge was called A Dish Fit for a Duchess. So there she is using her royal title. And my understanding, Lady C, is she wasn't doing this show for altruistic reasons. She was doing it for a big fat paycheck from Channel. He's showing that vile look, the type of look that she used to shoot at Catherine and Prince Harry all the time, just days before the airing of the show, which was meant to be a big moment for the fake.
Serving as a grand entrance into domestic luxury. What nobody expected was the desperate commercial pivot that followed shortly after. February of 2025 forced a complete rebrand to As Ever because the company needed to escape its strictly California-centric aesthetic. Projecting a universally wholesome image became her sole focus, shifting the entire business model towards selling coziness through products like jams, teas, and dog treats.
Seen her Duchess title in order to make money in the entertainment industry. So the fact poor Poe mentioned the word royalty is totally irrelevant to that. It's the use of the word and the term Duchess as part of a challenge in a reality TV show, which I think would have left the late Queen Elizabeth II.
Claps back and says, that she doesn't understand why the Judge Poe would be upset. She had a wonderful experience, never from the point of view of the police, because she's only thinking.
I think anybody at Netflix could have seen the show before it went out, because it's not entertainment, it's not edifying in any way. It's really, really bizarre.
Heavy stylization defined her July 2026 Instagram videos. Footage showed her happily picking berries while teasing audiences with captions promising that something sweet would arrive soon. Presenting this unadulterated domestic bliss looks incredibly soft on screen.
She launched out with some feelers, trying to see who might be somewhat interested in her appearance. And she was like, yes, let's do MasterChef. Because one of the things Meghan Markle has tried to do, and we've gone over this, but it's worth reiterating, is that she has a business based in the kitchen. She has a show based in the kitchen. But unfortunately for the woman, I don't think she enjoys being in the kitchen. And that's a really, really hard step.
Like to watch other celebrities, Gwyneth Paltrow, Meghan Markle, going in your footsteps and following something that you've really started.
I don't mind. Good luck. Meghan, I don't really know very well.
Yet utterly ignores her documented reality. Staggering hypocrisy defines this entire corporate launch. Establishing an empire built on cozy aesthetics requires running directly away from her documented reputation as a dictatorial boss.
Markle disputing the frustration report. No, why would Yo say that? Why would Chef Poe say that? I had a great time. It was fine for me, just like it would be fine for the bully in high school, brutally harassing, punching his or her victim. Because Meghan Markle is a known bully. It's the levels of narcissism that Meghan Markle cannot conceive to actually admit that she is a monster.
Creating a gaping vulnerability in her business plan, expecting the public to buy wholesome blackberry jam from a woman whose own employees adopted a moniker resembling a trauma support group represents a fundamental flaw in her post-royal existence. And this is
actually dumb. She is just nails down a chalkboard for me, because there's nothing about her that's real. Every time you see her do a speech, every time you see an appearance from her, she's a completely different personality. And this is a woman that, turned around and said, actually, I'm too busy to cook, but I do really know how to make a takeaway look pretty. Let me guess, sprinkle some flower petals on it. Even that, it's like, oh, look, flower petals. Everybody think of me. I sell flower petals, don't you? It's just going to be really.
She's just someone, cooked up a few dishes and thinks that makes her an expert at cookery, at entertaining, at all things domestic. It's rubbish, isn't it?
where it gets worse for the Duchess. Ghosts from her Kensington Palace days conveniently resurface to disastrously derail every major public relations moment she attempts to orchestrate.
When we did our parody of Meghan's stupid Netflix show, trying to make herself into the next Martha Stewart, and we realized her one-pot pasta is just a blatant ripoff of Martha Stewart's one-pot pasta, which turned out to be like one of her most famous recipes. And it's honestly just like unabashed ripoff. I'm sure Martha's heard about it and is probably like, who is this fool trying to imitate that she's me, as she, out of the other side of her mouth, complains about how her castle is too small.
Well, interesting. What I learned about myself is no matter what my name is, or what people call me, I'm still the same person.
Meghan, f*** off.
Impending legal realities pose a far greater threat than simple bad press, giving the people who witness the truth behind those berry-picking videos a tangible way to finally speak out. Understanding the sheer panic gripping her camp today requires stepping back to 2018. Entering the royal fold triggered immediate internal accusations regarding the severe mistreatment of Kensington Palace employees, revealing a
This moment right here, it was almost as cringe. She thinks something is funny, it clearly isn't. Turns to Marcus Anderson, her gay BFF who's behind all of this, wanting him to join in. He's like, no way, just turn around, behave. I've got this gig for you, you stupid woman, just behave. And then she's...
It doesn't work for you to... shoulders back, breasts out, headlights going, and try to look as bitchy as possible.
Completely different reality taking shape behind those grand walls. Aides described an entirely dictatorial management style. Early morning demands and emotional cruelty defined the regime, pushing traumatized employees to actually brand themselves the Sussex Survivors Club just to survive the daily pressure. September 2022 brought this incredible detail to light when royal correspondent Valentine Lowe published Courtiers: The Hidden Power Behind the Crown. Releasing that book served as a watershed moment, creating the first major crack in the institutional wall of silence.
There could have been something that could have been misconstrued. The judge actually wanted to reach out and apologize to Meghan Markle. I don't know why, but she felt the need to do so. But in Meghan Markle's head, how dare you complain? Just complaining about me being a bully? That is egregious. How dare you? You are cut off. You don't have access to me anymore. It's just like her father, what she did to her.
Like she's the she's got her arms flowing. She's really feeling her oats. Woman, please go back to California and be with your children and go and find a career other than just being desperate for attention.
Former aides found a way to bypass their strict confidentiality clauses by speaking anonymously to the reputable author, and that's when the devastating truth emerged. The resulting picture horrified readers. Low-detailed interviews where sources described colleagues being completely destroyed by the environment. Hearing seasoned professionals admit they felt sick and physically shook before meetings reveals the sheer gravity of this severe workplace anxiety. Dedicating entire careers to serving the crown meant nothing. Merely anticipating an encounter with the Duchess reduced these veterans to severe physical illness. Anonymous former staffers quoted in the publication even went so far as to permanently label her a narcissistic sociopath. Dismissing these claims as the mere grumblings of a few disgruntled employees ignores a massive systemic crisis within the household. Toxicity reached such unbearable levels that the highest ranks of royal staff stepped in to mediate.
Between Meghan Markle and Catherine, the Princess of Wales. This was way back in 2018 when no one knew any of this publicly. Only people within the royal family knew the way that Meghan was going on about people within the British royal family. And Catherine had turned on Meghan Markle specifically because of the way that she was bullying staff within the grounds of Kensington.
We just heard how Yo tried to have a sense of humor with her in the kitchen. And yet, Meghan Markle was having none of it. I guess for Meghan Markle's sense of humor means mocking somebody like she did Princess Charlotte or even Princess Catherine or anybody around who has worked with her. Yeah, that is Meghan Markle's sense of humor, denigrating, mocking people, sending them to see a shrink.
October 2018 brought the ultimate breaking point, which meant Communications Secretary Jason Knauf had to take a massive professional risk by filing an official HR complaint. Recognizing that absolutely no one shielded the staff from this behavior, he sent an infamous internal email to Prince William's private secretary to raise the alarm. Reading the contents of that leaked document provides the most damning evidence of her tenure as a working royal. Knauf explicitly expressed deep concern that she bullied 2 personal assistants entirely out of the household within a single year. Noting her intent to always have someone in her sights, he detailed a relentless campaign of targeted psychological pressure. This revealed a truly predatory management style, one designed to isolate and break individuals down entirely. Evaluating this crisis requires remembering the exceptional caliber of the household staff. Highly experienced professionals like former private secretary Samantha Cohen, communications chief Sarah Latham, and assistant press secretary Marnie Gaffney anchored the team. Handling immense pressure on the world stage came naturally to these veterans, yet the dictatorial cruelty they faced proved it entirely unmanageable. Reaching the peak of this distress triggered an unexpected reaction because Prince Harry failed to protect his own team. Prince William initially intervened instead. Stepping in to comfort the bullied employees, the future king reportedly sought out a specific aide reduced to weeping. Protecting the household staff from his own sister-in-law ignited the massive, unhealable rift between the 2 brothers. Witnessing the destruction firsthand left William unwilling to simply look the other way. Denying these bullying allegations consumed her legal and public relations teams for years. March of 2021 saw Jason Knauf's email finally leaked to the Times, dropping conveniently just days before the explosive Oprah Winfrey interview and forcing Buckingham Palace to announce a formal investigation. Going on the offensive, her spokesperson labeled the leak a calculated smear campaign driven by harmful misinformation. Media allies immediately circulated a controversial narrative, claiming a stuffy British institution weaponized the assertiveness of an American woman of color. Framing early morning emails as standard corporate practice allowed them to dismiss terrified staff reactions as a simple clash of cultures rooted in unconscious bias. The problem was, this cultural defense completely falls apart against the human cost. Standard corporate practice never leaves employees physically shaking at their desks. Sending a few assertive messages fails to explain a veteran communications secretary filing a formal HR complaint over 2 assistants fleeing the household within 12 months. Slapping an unconscious bias label onto the genuine trauma of the Sussex Survivors Club actively insults professionals who walked away completely destroyed. Leaving the monarchy failed to stop this destructive behavioral pattern. Sustaining a revolving door of employees continues to plague their operations today. Former Chief of Staff Josh Kettler perfectly illustrates this ongoing crisis, suddenly departing in August of 2024 after lasting a mere 3 months on the job. Fleeing after 90 days heavily fueled the narrative that working for the couple remains a highly volatile, impossible task. Trading the halls of Kensington Palace for the California coast changed the scenery, but the endless turnover of traumatized staff remains exactly the same. Desperately pushing forward with the As Ever brand requires an enormous amount of distraction. Posting videos of herself smiling while picking berries helps build a curated illusion of domestic bliss, praying audiences actually purchase the upcoming dog treats and jams. The reality of her past is catching up at a terrifying speed, despite the sweet aesthetic. Former royal staff already started breaking through the walls of their confidentiality agreements when they spoke anonymously for Valentine Lowe's explosive book. Jason now escalated the exposure on 60 Minutes Australia. And this is where her escape route vanishes, because the British government has stepped in to hand the rest of the Sussex Survivors Club the ultimate legal sledgehammer they need to permanently shatter the remaining silence. Rebranding as a sweet lifestyle guru completely fails when your history involves driving 2 personal assistants out of the household in 12 months. Overseeing a revolving door of staff shatters the wholesome illusion. Watching her latest chief of staff flee after 90 days proves the pattern continues, especially considering her past behavior reduced seasoned palace professionals to weeping. Delivering the final nail in the coffin of the institutional cover-up, the Employment Rights Act 2025 ensures those falling confidentiality agreements finally allow the unvarnished truth to surface. That carefully constructed facade faces an unavoidable reckoning. Silenced voices from the darkest days of her royal tenure are officially preparing to speak.